Hi, welcome along to Pompey Talk Extra Time. I'm your host, Steve Wilson, for today. We're joined today by Johnny Ertl, former Pompey captain, and unfortunately Neil Allen of the Portsmouth News, who's my colleague. Johnny, we'll start with you, shall we? It's great to have you on board, mate. We've got some questions in from readers and on our website.
Thanks, Steve.
But first of all, tell us about the move to the Trust, your retirement from the game. You're now involved in the backroom stuff at Fratton Park. Tell us a bit about that and how much you're enjoying it.
It's really interesting, and I really enjoy my work there. So I've been elected from the members to be on the board. I'm currently spokesman for the trust board, and it's really interesting to be part of all the strategic plans we've got, of all the goals and tasks, increasing membership, then the work in the community, the development of the youth group within the club. And just to promote the goals and the vision, yes.
Yeah, Neil, it's great to have a former player on board, isn't it, involved at the Trust?
Oh yeah, I mean, shame Ben Iam didn't step up for the mark, wouldn't he? I know they've been trying to get him to come to the club, and he wasn't interested for some reason.
Well, that's interesting, that, isn't it? But yeah. I mean, someone like Johnny, with his experience of playing, offers an entirely different perspective.
Yeah, he gives the insight of operating at a different aspect of the club that fans, which is what the board are, the PST, don't know, haven't got an insight of. And it's a whole thing, because I know when the PST were formed, they've had to learn along the way. The three board members have had to learn along the way about the runnings of a club. And but Johnny comes into it with a lot of that knowledge. So it's a great different insight, isn't it, to what the board's already got. And obviously Claire Martin's another one that gives a different insight. And you need all those things together to hopefully take the trust forward.
Tell us a bit then, Johnny, about the vision of the Trust going forward, because obviously they've played such a huge role in saving the club's existence. What's the next step for them? How do they go from here, basically?
Like you said, they played a huge step, and just to touch on this, I think the current state of the club, you know, the positive like state of the club, the position we're in. Ashley Brown said it last time, it's seen as a flagship across the UK, across other clubs, and I think we are a great example, and what people just put into this club is absolutely incredible, and the fan investment, what took place, it's second to none in my opinion. And it was one of those reasons I decided after my professional football career I want to join the Trust, because I was always close to the supporters after the game, and I came from a European background from my hometown club, where we were a community club. And yeah, it's all together, and I like this vision, and we're working on some interesting topics, yes.
Go on then. Right, let's get on to some of the questions we've had sent in. John Tucker has asked us, we know you love and support Pompey. What's given you the bug? Is there anything in particular that makes our club different to others and sort of just grabbed you, basically?
In many ways, this club is different to others. Not only we are the biggest community club in the UK, but also like the passion of the fans, I would say, and the current structure, the current philosophy also of the club, the way we moved forward and everybody is buying into it. There's been times, you know, we were down, you know, but right now it looks really, the club is moving forward, and it's just a positive buzz around the city. When you drive in, you know, people talking about football. This is a city heavily connected to football, and we are a one city football club.
How long did it take you to realise that? Because you came in at a pretty dark time for the club, didn't you? Let's be honest, when under Appleton there were a lot of players on monthly contracts and things like that. Was it an instant thing, or was it a sort of few games in you think, crikey, this is a bit different here?
I used to play here before with a different club, and when I walked on the pitch and looked around, I thought, this is a great club, what great atmosphere, great people. And then when I got the offer, it was for me basically a no-brainer to sign. But it has been really, really difficult, to be fair, when I signed, because so many players left, and it was really, really difficult. And we talked before about that. I used to play alongside 100 players, so there was no chance of sustainability at the club. But right now we're moving into this right direction. This is a journey, and I felt really privileged that I could have been part of this journey, and I'm still part of it right now because I'm involved in the PST. So I can bring my perspective as an ex-professional onto the board, and I can also learn, from the other board members. So we have a good diversity on the board right now. and we work, for our trust and for our club.
For quite a while, Neil, Johnny was the constant, wasn't he? We had so many players coming in for a month at a time, and see you later, and the Darryl Russells and Lee Williamsons of this world.
It's just staggering to say, in your time here, you've played with over 100 players. It's just...
It's great for networking.
Yeah. You got a lot of Facebook friends now, probably. Okay, Dave Carr has sent another one in. We know that you've completed your sports business studies course. Where does sitting on the PST fit into your own personal business plan? Are you a chairman in waiting, do you think, in future years? Or?
I don't know if I'm a chairman in waiting, but I think it's so interesting to see football right now from a different perspective. As a player, you get on with your job, you're on the football pitch, you train, you recover, you have this game in mind Tuesday or Saturday, but right now I see a lot of things from a different perspective, and I've always been fascinating of this side of sport, the executive area in sport, coaching area as well. So I'm also fascinated about structures of football clubs. I went to Germany, for example. They've got a complete different structure. We've got a different structure.
Actually, let me bring in a question from Julian123. That's an unusual surname, but he was obviously on our website. But he asked you about your trip to Schalke, so it's probably a good time to talk about that. So you went over there to see what they were doing.
Yes, I went to see what they were doing. It's a huge club, Schalke. They've got the same colours as we have, blue and white. And I went to see some guys there to talk about the membership, how they run it, about members in general, but also I looked at their academy setup, for example, so I can feed back to our academy that we can improve as a whole, as a club, as a community. And what really fascinates me was they have 136,000 members. And wow, I got so many leaflets, my whole bag was full of leaflets and cards and everything. It was a little bit too much for me because it's just a big club, but hopefully in the near future, we can work on really interesting projects, how we can really increase our memberships, also looking into fees, about the administrative costs and everything. So it's a nice project, yes.
Yeah. Another question that's coming from Serta Cito, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but when we're playing a side that don't bring as many away fans, like an Accrington, for example, are the PST able to sort of offer spare tickets for the Milton End to the local schools, for example, or is it the club business? Is there any opportunity that you guys can try and get more young Pompey fans involved potentially?
Yes, that's our aim, to get more young Pompey fans involved also in the trust. I can't promise right now, anything, but obviously I will take a note, take it with me, and that we'll discuss definitely with other board members, and we will look into this. If you can give me the contact details, that would be much appreciated. No
problem. Maybe we should get onto some of your footballing career and some of your favourite moments. Any particular games stand out? I think I know which one Neil will choose, but go on, Neil, kick us off.
Crew away.
Yeah. Crew Alexandra away, the long run waiting for that win. Was it 23 games, 24 games?
Yeah, 23.
23, yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about that game. Can you remember, going into games like that, when you're on the back of such a long losing run like that, do you go out thinking we're just going to get done again today? Or did you always, as players, think we will turn it around at some point?
Looking back...
Answer honestly.
No, I thought we were close in games before, but so many players left and just showed up. It was absolutely almost sometimes a nightmare, actually, because player turned up the day before, and then you need to play together with them. Yeah. You don't have a really a core of players that were chopping and changing because of our position where we were. Promises were made on top of promises, and we didn't know at this time, when we were out of administration. So it was really difficult. The game itself was absolutely amazing for me. We're looking back. Dave Connolly scored a goal, Archie scored a goal, and we held on to this win. And then when the supporters jumped over the fence, the stewards dragged one out. I will never forget it. It was a great feeling, and I think this Crew game was the rebirth of Pompey in my eyes, because then we went on a really good run, and right until the end of the season under Guy, I think we finished just from this Crew game until the very last game against Sheffield United. We finished top 6, I would say, or top 7, I would say.
But there must be other games that stand out as well, aren't there, along the way that sort of highlights in your Pompey career?
Don't mention Oxford.
Yeah, do you know what? That was the one that just popped
No,
in there. I
don't
thought I better
mention
not say that. Oxford at home, the first game, the hours
Yeah.
in the Fratton end, and you got sent off.
Yeah, hours at the Fratton, and I got sent off. That was a moment when I look back. You know, you go back home and think you wanna dig a hole. You know, wanna get in there. But then eventually, I thought.
First off, did you think it was a red? Looking back on it.
Looking back on it, I jumped up at my elbow up there and was quite like, I would say it was many ways unlucky, but I swung my elbow up there because the natural jump, and then I want to head it on. And obviously I caught him, and Rose went down, and the referee had this angle. It would have been this angle, would have been different, you know. And so he showed me the red card was actually, yes, it wasn't the greatest day for me personally.
Do you think the reaction of their players, though? Because all their players went around the referee, didn't they?
And we touched on this straight after the game, that in the future games we need to do the same, because a lot of managers tell their players to surround the referees, especially lower down the leagues, you know. Or like, if you remember last season when we played against Wycombe at home, you remember this game, the time wasting of Wycombe?
Yeah.
I will never forget this. But actually they coached it in pre-season, the time wasting. So, you know, and in this level, the level, I would say, of referee, or like sometimes it's not very good, you know, but you can't really fault them. They are all human beings and we all do mistakes. But there is obviously a psychological part of it when a lot of people or a lot of players surround the referee and put pressure under him. So it's more likely that he shows a card.
But Andy Orford used to have a trick where he was making a substitution. Before he'd do it, he'd tell the substitute to go to the far side of the pitch. Yeah. So when they came off, it would waste time himself. So there's all these sort of tricks, aren't there, sort of bending it to try to waste time, and that was his, but obviously not quite as bad as the Wycombe game, with all the time wasting.
Wycombe was really
well, this season we've seen a goalkeeper booked for time wasting after half an hour. It's crazy, isn't it, really?
I think the theory in it is to try and quell the crowd, isn't it? And to try and, if it is an away team at Fratton Park particularly, is to try and, you know, if you take the sting out of the game, as they say, makes it easier supposedly for visiting teams. But yeah, it's those little game management, I think they call them, don't they?
Game management. But looking back on my Pompey career, there were great games. When I remember the Sheffield United game, when we won 3-0 at home, or like in particular the last game I played it was at home against York, where all my friends from Austria came over, and you saw us dressed up in lederhosen. A little bit of Austrian touch to Fratton Park, you know.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was your career 2 goals. Is that correct?
2 goals, yes.
2 goals. I remember the one at Cheltenham, I think, wasn't it?
At Cheltenham, yes.
After that, talk us through the dancing celebration. That was the.
Yeah, I did the dancing celebration on the training ground, and the players told me I should do it if I score a goal, and obviously I kept my word because I promised them.
Why did you start dancing on the training ground? What's the?
Because sometimes when you do a warm-up, you know, you've got a circle with players, and sometimes a player has to step in and do some exercises, you know, like a static one or with some movement, and I always went in the middle, and people know that I quite like to dance, so so I stepped in, I showed them a little movements, you know. There's another one like Andy Barcham, you know, he showed us some great skills, and then players told me, Johnny, you've got to do this dance, and yes, I kept my promise.
Yeah, and the other one, there was a cracking volley, I remember, the other goal you scored.
The corner, yeah.
Was that Wycombe again? Was that Wycombe? I'm trying to remember.
That was against Wycombe,
yeah. Just flushed that one, didn't you? From the corner, you just flushed it straight in, as I recall.
Yeah, it was a good finish, yes. Yeah. I was happy with the finish.
Johnny, you got to play it up a bit more.
No.
Messi.
No, I
great technique. I've been working on that.
Looking back, I'm really grateful having played, you know, for such a big club, you know, and with great support and everything. So. I would say it was definitely one of the best chapters in my life, in my football career, where I learned so many things because I've been through up and down with this club. But what personally me impressed was like how people like approach this club, you know, how the community works, you know, how many friendly people I came across. And that was one of the main reasons I said, you know, to my wife, we're going to stay here because we're really we really settled here in this area, but we are also well connected within the community.
Finally.
Can I ask you a question?
Go on, go on then.
Of all the 100 players you played with, which ones stood out for you ability-wise at Pompey?
Dave Connolly.
Really?
Yes. Dave, incredible player, great first touch, great finisher. So he got all those attributes as a striker you could ask for.
Were you surprised he didn't feature more than last season?
If you ask me the question of that, if I was surprised, obviously, you know, there were some ongoing things, you know, and he didn't feature much, but it was not down to my decision. So he's now coaching the Millwall, the under 16, under 18. He's involved in that. He finished his career, but yeah, he showed some good movements off the ball, and he was always a threat.
I've got a question, you probably won't answer it.
Oh, go.
Worst player you played with of your 100 or so?
The worst player I played with.
Only at Pompey.
Only
we
at
won't know
Pompey.
the other ones. So.
Only at Pompey. I can't really tell
I knew you wouldn't.
the worst player, because this is like it's a tricky question, and
There's been so many of them in the last 2 years.
I can't really answer that, because I think it's a team game.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
and I can't judge one player who just turned up for 2 games at our club and say, you know, he's a bad player, because it's a team game after all, and a lot of players came because of different reasons, and got disillusions at the end, and then moved away from the club because promises were not kept. So I would never ever tell, you know, this is the worst player I played with, this is the best player. One of the best players was definitely Dave Connolly, and another one was also, I think, Paul Robinson. His whole approach to the game, he's a leader through and through, and a fantastic character. So we had a lot of great players, you know, and I'm happy that I played alongside all those players.
Can I just ask David Connolly, what was he like?
Dave was first of all a great player, and I think he has this drive of being 100% like a professional, you know. And when he came to us, it was difficult for him because he expected this standard, and then he dropped the leagues, and you can't expect, you know, at League 2 the same standard as like a Premiership or a Championship. You need to adjust, you know, and it took him a while to figure this out, you know. But people really you know, they looked up to him because of his first touch, and his training and everything. So he was a good around pro, but he didn't figure out at this time, in his time at Pompey, then obviously this is a different standard, you know, and you can't expect from people when they joined us, under Guy or under Oz, for example, they were not used to big crowds, the players. They didn't feature a lot of professional games in the professional tiers in British Football Club, you know. So I think it was for him also a quite interesting learning process, and I think over the last couple of months and especially the last year, he really matured, and he's doing a great job right now at Millwall.
Okay, finally, we're going to wrap this up. It's a quick fire, 1-word answer, okay? Favourite, you played under Michael Appleton, Guy Whittingham, Richie Barker, Andy Orford. Favourite manager out of those 4 that you played for?
My favourite manager, I would say it was Guy. So he had an incredible job to do here, and because he took over when the fans took over the whole club, and he then stepped in a role what was really difficult to fulfill, I think, because the perspective changed completely with 2 administration in 3 years, and then Guy stepped in and did the job incredible hard for me, because you've got both sides. You've got the business side of it, you've got the team. We signed up players that didn't even feature more than 5 games in a professional level. And how can you expect a team like that with a mid-table budget at this time to get promotion instantly? We were all blurred a little bit because the perspective, we need to get up with Portsmouth Football Club, but the club was not ready at this time. And by saying that right now, looking back the 2 years, we learned so much. And this is achieved because of the PST, because of the support, because of the presidents, because of everybody involved at the club. But the first initial start was the most difficult one. And Guy tried to install really a professionalism within the club, but he was caught in two worlds, I would say, you know. So it was really difficult, and the players we signed Simon Ferry quite late. He wasn't really up with his fitness, a fantastic player. Then, yes, I think there were 16 new faces and everybody left because of the situation the club was in. But so I think he did very well, and he got the most difficult task.
Least favourite?
The least favourite, you know, in my personal least favourite from all of them, I had a difficult time under Richie Parker, obviously. I wouldn't say least favourite. A nice man, I would say.
Yeah.
Genuine, but I
you
think
can say least favourite because you must have liked the other managers more, so he's your least favourite.
Like I think, you know, when it comes down to a player, I always see it from a bigger picture, because it's just opinion-based game. It's never ever that you say, okay, you know, I don't like his personality or something. You know, it was just I didn't quite agree with his opinion, I would say, with Parker's opinion. But I also think the club was a little bit too big for him. And looking back, it was a difficult job, you know, for him. And then quite at the end, he lost it. And it was great that Andy took over, because he knew the club at his time inside out. He's been with the club more than like 25 years or something. So he knows every single department of the club. And this helped us securing the League Two status at the end, I thought, when we had an incredible run. So, yeah.
Brilliant. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks to Neil, thanks to Johnny very much for coming in today. Join us again next time on Pompey Talk Extra Time.
Thank you very much.